tonight what I'm going to be doing is fuel line related stuff. One of, at least in my mind, the biggest problems with doing not only just a swap, but going bigger power, NAT, whatever it may be, or if you're just replacing fuel lines in general, the fuel lines themselves aren't bad. But if you're going to try and reuse the same bulkhead on the tank, chances are you're just going to end up using a fitting where the original banjo bolt went. And the problem with that is on the stock fitting, if I can find it here, this is the portion that bolts onto the tank. In the hole right there, you have a banjo bolt that goes directly through, and then there's a little rubber grommet on top of here, and this gets bolted up under to the bottom of the tank. There's one for the feed and return. Now the problem is when going to an aftermarket line, or a line that's just not rotted out, you have this little locating pin right here, and unfortunately that locating pin goes completely through the bulkhead to the actual tank. So because of that, if you're just going to use a fitting and not reuse this or get another one or whatever it may be, that little locating pinhole has got to get plugged on the bulkhead, because you're going to be losing fuel through there. And chances are you're not going to want to pull the fuel tank out, drain it, clean it well, and then weld that hole shut, because not only that, but how close that is to the actual fitting or banjo bolt, that's got to be completely flat. So it's going to be a complete pain in the ass to do with the tank in the car. So I came up with a way to rectify this, and essentially, let me see here. Alright, so all you're going to need is a little tiny bolt, preferably close to, if not just larger than that locating pin hole. This size I actually used and found is I can't even read that son of a bitch. I think it's 4mm by 0.7. Yeah, 4mm by 0.7. And then grab yourself a tap and tap that locating pinhole, and then take your bolt, cut the head off. Make sure not to bitch up the threads in the process. So you have your bolt with the head cut off. Then you're going to take a Dremel tool, or even if you have a small enough, or I should say thin enough, hacksaw blade, you probably won't be able to see this, but notch the top of it. Just cut a nice notch straight across the top, and then that allows you to, once that locating pinhole in the bulkhead is tapped, you can run this up in with a flat blade screwdriver, obviously a tiny one, and run that in till it's flush. I'm going to try and get away with just a very light wrap of Teflon tape, because these threads are pretty fine, but and then goop it up a little bit with some gasket maker, and that should take care of it, because you're really not going to get away with just gooping up some gasket maker up into that hole and having it stick, because chances are you're going to have some residual gas coming back down through that hole, and it's just going to push right through it. So that's what we're going to do here tonight, and hopefully everything goes well. Alright, so now underneath the car here you can see the bulkhead. You have your return lines right here and your feed lines right here. Now both of these accept banjo bolts, and as you can see here and here, you have those locating pins, and you can see how close they are to that the threads. These are the ones that are going to need tapped and filled. So that's what we're gonna go after here. Alright, so the other night when I was working on the fuel lines, I ran into quite an issue and had a little bit of a come apart, but basically ended up pulling the tank out, and if you can see here, I got that alignment hole plugged and that worked, but I had a different issue where fuel leaking out around the outside rim of this on both the feed and return. So I said, screw it, I'm gonna pull the tank out to weld it, and then you can't really see if you can see inside here. It's inside the tank is not at all in good shape. So tank is going bye-bye. I have a 15-gallon fuel cell ordered and a 400 LPH inline pump coming. So that's gone. But if you don't have that other issue with it leaking, that pin will work. Also today we've been working on the intercooler stuff using the CXRacing intercooler kit specifically for this motor and car, the 1J vvti. And just a side note, it definitely will not work with the AC lines that all come down into this corner here. We've already had to pull the power steering cooler pole system out of this side. Unsure whether or not we're going to make something work with that or just completely delete it. We will see. So far it's not going terrible.
Careful with the fucking hood there, champ.
Yeah, I got her. But yeah, so we got one side pretty well figured out, and probably be it for today. So what are you doing?
I think I just killed my dash.
I think I just killed my dash. Yeah. Yeah, I did. What'd you do?
I just killed the dash.
Did you pop a fuse?
Yeah.
Where's that?
I don't know. I have no idea.
So continuing on, I got all the intercooler and piping together. It actually went together quite simply, the rest of it. I know I said we had to pull the power steering cooler, whole jungle gym of shit out of here. It should go back in. I just have to fiddle with it a little bit and see what we got to make it work. There's a couple things you're gonna have to pull apart. There's a plastic piece that runs this way in here that pretty well had to go. I mean, you could get away with trimming it, but I just pulled it out. Fairly unnecessary. Other than that, the mounting brackets they give you go to already existing holes, and all that worked out pretty well. I still have to do the mounts underneath. There's one off of here, one off of here that run back to the rad support, lower rad support. But as far as this whole side, comes up right through there, and then there's a little plastic bit in here you gotta punch out, and it shoots right up through here. It all works out pretty good. Alright, so got all the intercooler piping done. It also came with a intake to the MAF, tucks under there.
What?
Then it also, which I forgot to mention, comes with
it's nice here.
the downpipe that connects the little turn down neck off the turbo to the regular exhaust underneath. Comes with gaskets and whatnot, so that all made it up very nicely.
Hello. So today, I fixed my tack.
You had a minor meltdown.
I had like 3. They were playful though. Well, one of them wasn't. My glove box is now stuck shut.
Yeah.
Minor oopsie, but
you got your ECU mounted up.
ECU is mounted. I would love to show you that, but my glove box is stuck shut. I got the heat to kind of work more. Got the tack to work. Got my dash back together. So
well, what was the issue with the tack? It was getting too much voltage.
It was getting too many volts. It worked right when the fans or headlights came on, and then it stopped working again because I have a tack adapter. And apparently the tack adapter only likes 14.2 volts and not 14.5. So we put a resistor on that. It works great now. Stoked. Pretty stoked. Got my interior back together, which feels really nice. There's not an ECU like sitting down in there. Yeah, pretty tickled.
Yeah, that's
a little bit better.
So clean now.
A little bit better.
We made big progress.
We made big steps.
In one way or another.
Big steps.